Hi, this is Peggy Miller. I'm with Highland Winds LLC, and this is the Chronic and Specific Section 17, which deals with cancer in this podcast series. And this one, as opposed to last segment, where I dealt with what herbs to use to go along with conventional cancer treatments, here you'd be discussing, here I'm discussing for your help, if you choose to take on a different approach to treating your cancer. For whatever reason, you tried conventional, it didn't work, you have a number of reasons you want to just use plant medicine, whatever reason brings you to, is using Chinese medical herbalism or Ayurvedic or a combination of the two, a valid approach. Yes, it's slower. It's not as much of an intensive. It's slower in that there's a combination of approaches and they can do the job, but it takes longer, and but it's a very worthwhile methodology to consider. And the reason I say that is it's a serious decision. But for example, as I was studying Chinese and Ayurvedic, and some of my teachers brought up different examples of different types of herbal approaches, and that it's surprising what plants can do when dealing with cancer cells. And it's a combination of the cause of why cancer grows in the body, which is a lot of it relates to stagnation, blood stagnation and key stagnation. When they occur, they kind of pool together and the flow is reduced, and cancer cells like to be able to sit quietly and get stuck somewhere, and then they multiply. If they just are, it's a very good flowing blood system, very good flowing energy system. That's much more difficult to do. And what people don't realize a lot of times is many people might have a few cancer cells, but the body just gets rid of them. They flow out because they have nourished blood and they have no stagnation, and there's nothing that sort of invites cancer cells to be able to stick somewhere and multiply. But so different reasons, poor health in a lot of different ways can encourage cancer to find an environment that it likes. One of the examples was a woman who got breast cancer, but she treated it. She never totally got rid of it, but she treated it with burdock for many, many, many years and lived a long and healthy life. Burdock is a very interesting herb that both, for many reasons, it's an expectorant, but it also changes blood viscosity, meaning it makes blood a little bit more slippery. And by applying it both as a poultice and she was using it as a tea, she was able to simply just keep the tumor tiny. And sometimes it would stagnate and not reappear for a couple of years, and then she'd use it again. So, and she lived until 96 or something. So, and that was just burdock. Blood viscosity is something to look into if you're listening to this and this applies to you. It's one of the tools that you have at your disposal in fighting cancer. In addition to blood viscosity, though, there's a regimen that medical herbalists that are trained in Chinese and Ayurvedic herbalism look to in terms of working on cancer. And it's a combination of things. It is things like blood viscosity, and so recommending something like burdock. But it's also making sure all stagnation is clear, key stagnation, blood stagnation, whether it's around the heart, whether it's in the liver, whether it's in the intestines. It's getting the body and to do that, I shouldn't just jump past that. To do the stagnation, you really want to use danshen and tianchi ginseng as two of the herbs, and myrrh, but danshen and tianchi ginseng are both have been demonstrated to be anti-carcinogens as well, meaning they help the blood clear stagnation, but also sort of tackle if they find a cancer cell along the way. So those are both very good blood stagnation clearers, as well as have a decent reputation as helping in the fight against the cancer cells themselves. Thyme. There's a type of thyme, that wild thyme, that is an anti-carcinogen. And so it can be included in your tea. And so it's getting more information and looking up and getting Michael Tier's book, Herbs Used for Cancer, and learning about the different types of herbs at your disposal. But you want to change blood viscosity. You want to clear stagnation, wherever it is. If you've already been found that you're diagnosed with cancer and let's say it's stomach cancer. It's a tough one. But in the book, there are different herbs that help with that. You want to use both the herbs that are anti-carcinogens, but you also want to use herbs that simply soften and break up tumors. A lot of tumors aren't cancerous, but whether they're cancers or not, whether they're benign, you either way want to break them up. You don't want tumors growing. So there are herbs that help to break up tumors. There are herbs that help to break up nodules. There's a variety of them. Horsetail is one. There's just many. And there are different ones that apply depending upon where the tumor's located. But breaking up the tumor, whether it's a cancerous tumor or benign tumor, is a good goal. So in addition to clearing stagnation, softening and breaking up tumors is another additional group of herbs that are usually used in preparing tea formulas. Additional herbs will be clearing heat and inflammation. Both the worry from having cancer, and it's a worry, no matter what, it just is, so there are herbs that you want to take just to help relax, like Shisandra, but you also want to clear inflammation and heat. Worry alone can cause inflammation. It's not just the cancer itself in the body. It doesn't always alone cause that much inflammation until it really gets to stage 4 kind of thing. But, stage 3 as well. But inflammation can come from just the impacts on as the body tries to fight the cancer. That alone causes inflammation, and then worry and tension, and the change in your lifestyle, change in your diet, all of that can cause inflammation as well. And inflammation leads to internal heat, and so herbs that help clear inflammation, like marshmallow, dandelion, oat straw, which is also a nervine, so it's a good one to use, and herbs that help clear heat. Coptis is considered often a good one. It's good in helping with the type of heat clearing for cancer, and it's often paired in tea formulas when you have a cancerous situation. Also, forsythia is another good one for clearing internal heat. So there's a number of herbs, depending upon the location, once again, of the cancer, Scutellaria, Scrofularia. They're just different herbs that help clear internal heat depending upon where it's located. So that clearing the heat is another approach. As I've already said, using anti-carcinogens in addition as part of the tea formula. The blood viscosity is part of the tea formula. Then there's herbs that also are more unusual. One I do want to mention, and it's called bloodroot. Bloodroot, I would urge, some people just take it on themselves and try it. I'd really urge that you use it with a professional, someone that's used to using it. It's has a most unusual, read about it. How it's often been used, and it's over more on the edge, just like, well, yeah, it is. Because you usually make a paste of it and apply it directly as a poultice to the area where the cancer cells are. And it creates its own heat. You've probably heard of the conventional therapy of using heat, of literally burning cancer cells, and which has had some real success depending upon the type of cancer, etc. Well, bloodroot sort of does the same thing, and it actually creates a burning. And what's unique about it is usually it will only kill through its particular type of heat the cancer cells. Literally turn them kind of into ash. It doesn't always do it, and it can burn the area around it. And that's why you need to make sure you're doing it with a professional, because infection can set in. But at the same time, it has been used, and it's been used effectively. And it appears that if the cancer is still quite small, that it can be used just to get that little tiny tumor and kill it and get rid of it, slough it off. So there are things like that, and if you visit with a medical herbalist, you might find that's raised. And that's what that's about. And it's something to consider